How you been? Thanks for tuning in. What's the good news? That there is good news. And today we are talking about good news in Dallas, Texas, and how two individuals have impacted thousands all across the nation. Who's the modern believer? Great question. It's you. It's an individual that believes and knows change and good is always happening, even though we're constantly bombarded with information that tells us it's the opposite. Happy Monday. It's December 28th, 2020. And wherever you may be, whenever and however you may be listening, it's another day to be thankful to being on the right side of the ground. Welcome back, and thanks for joining today's episode of The Modern Believer, the podcast that reminds us that the good news is that there is good news. Really appreciate you making time to join all the other modern believers out there. I'm looking forward to enjoying this cup of coffee with you today. Please give today's video a like since it helps the algorithm, and if it's your first time here, please follow or subscribe so you can stay up to date. If you are listening on audio, hi there. Please hit the download button and follow button and leave a review. Share today's episode with one friend. And if you share on social, let me know. Today's burning question of the day is, why are elevator jokes so classic and good? Stay tuned for the answer later on. Before we begin, I encourage you to make that phone call, send that text, forgive that person, tell them that you love them, tell them that you miss them, let go of that grudge, don't take any of it for granted, and let's together show more kindness because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Let's begin. Thank you, Laura, for sending these good news. With the help of Uber, Hennessy, and Pepsi, longtime host of diners, drive-ins, and dives, aka the Mayor of Flavortown, Guy Fieri, has helped raise over $21 million for an employee relief fund. Established in late March as COVID was spreading, the fund has directly impacted over 43,000 restaurant workers whose livelihood has been impacted, unfortunately, due to COVID. Restaurant workers in every state have been impacted primarily through $500 grants. 80% of the grant recipients reported making less than $50,000 annually before the pandemic. And unfortunately, this year alone, over 3 million jobs in the hospitality industry have been lost. Great seeing people like Guy Fieri being the difference that they want to see in the world and paying it forward. Next time you're hungry and you want to go eat, please consider supporting a local restaurant. You could be the reason that they're around for another month. Thank you, Matt, for sending these good news. Every year, the Dr. Billy Earl Dade Middle School in Dallas, Texas hosts a Breakfast with Dads event to encourage fathers and father-like figures to engage with their students, over 77% of whom have been identified as at risk. In 2018, many kids were not signing up for the breakfast, and Principal Tracy Washington was concerned that students were opting out because they didn't have a father figure in their life or someone like that they could invite to the event. Through a call to action on Facebook, there was a post that received over 120 shares. The original goal of recruiting 50 men to be a dad for the day ended up getting over 600 volunteers. Archie Nettles, an active Dallas community member, was one of the men who answered. The Army veteran shared that though he has no children, he felt compelled to sign up and volunteer to show support for the young men who may not have a dad or a mentor in their life. After an opening statement from the principal and in the icebreaker activity of teaching how to tie a necktie, the tone was set for the event where 150 boys were in attendance of ages 11 through 13. Many kids even left with a mentor. It was such an impactful event that since then they have had bigger goals in sight, and hopefully after COVID they will go back to their now newfound mission to have an impact on a larger scale nationwide. Kids are the future. Let's lift them up, not bring them down. Thanks, Jenny, for sending these good news. On December 15th, MacKenzie Scott announced another major charitable donation, this time nearly giving away $4.2 billion to 384 organizations nationwide. 4 months ago, MacKenzie Scott announced a $1.7 billion donation to 160 organizations, including 4 historically black colleges and universities. Scott shared in a post the hundreds of organizations that would be receiving funds, including financial service providers for under-resourced communities, civil rights advocacy groups, Meals on Wheels, Goodwills, YMCAs, YWCAs, and dozens of colleges and universities. Scott, who is a philanthropist and author, is also the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos. So shout out to her, because the process is actually data-driven, that her team went over and examined over 6,000 organizations. So they determined that these 384 would be the ones that would be able to have the most impact, the high impact for their local communities, and also pave the way for unsolicited and unexpected gifts with full trust and no strings attached. So shout out to MacKenzie Scott and her team for being the change that they want to see in the world. Deep breath. Dang, I should have done that before I recorded today's episode. Nice. Now that you have that one thing locked in that you're thankful and grateful for today, if you thought of more than one, that's great too. Today, I'm thankful for my mom, mi madre. Thank you for everything you've done for me, Mom. Also, I'm thankful for you. Thank you for tuning in, making time, and making the world a better place when you were born. Let me know what cool stuff is going on in your community or company. What amazing stuff are you all up to? Please let me know and send me a DM or tweet at me. Anything that you think the other modern believers should be listening about as well. Next episode is on Thursday, so I'm looking forward to enjoying another cup of coffee with you then as well. Though we can keep talking for hours, we need to go about your day. So fly, be free. But before we go, I have to give you the answer to today's burning question of the day. The question was, why are elevator jokes so classic and good? They work on so many levels. Reach out to chat and send more good news. What was your favorite piece of news today? Comment below or shoot me a tweet at Quick Good News. That's right, at Quick Good News. And let me know. For all the audio listeners, please hit the subscribe and follow button and leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you're on that platform as well. Remember, it costs $0 to be a kind human being, so keep smiling and being you. That's the only thing we ever want from you. So thank you for joining today's episode of The Modern Believer, the podcast that reminds us that the good news is that there is good news. Make it a great day.